You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Chip Gilchrist, voice of the Kingston Frontenacs. You're listening to OHL Overtime, an in-depth interview show highlighting the players, coaches, and broadcasters from around the Ontario Hockey League who make the league so great, as well as in-person coverage of events such as the OHL Playoffs, OHL Championship Series, OHL Combine, and more, exclusively on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Here's your program host, Brandon Caputo.
And now it's Liam Arnsby in the near corner. 10 seconds to go in the third. The Generals stormed the gate. The battalion had a response before they waved the white flag. Oshawa Eastern Conference Champions. A 6-1 performance in Game 7. And Oshawa has booked their ticket to the OHL Championship Series, where they'll take on the London Knights.
Audio goal highlights are courtesy of the Oshawa Generals audio broadcast. Welcome into another episode of OHL Overtime right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Brandon Caputo here with you to give you an episode from the OHL Eastern Conference Championship Series between the Oshawa Generals and the North Bay Battalion. We're going to bring you interviews today on the show, kind of just putting together the conference finals in the Eastern Conference that went 7 games. It went the distance between Oshawa and between North Bay. So before we get going with that, thank you to those listening to us today on demand on your favorite audio platform, and thank you to those today watching us on the YouTube version. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell if you enjoy the video versions of our podcast that get released here on the network as well. And thank you to those today who choose to listen to us on demand as well. Make sure to give us a follow at Armchair GM Pod, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all that good stuff for you as well by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. So with that out of the way, we're going to bring you 2 interviews today from both general managers from both sides, both perspectives from the series, as well as the post-game audio following Game 7 from both teams with the head coach and a player from both the Oshawa Generals and the North Bay Battalion. So we're going to bring you an interview with Roger Hunt, the general manager from the Oshawa Generals on his team. This comes out, the Generals are now the Eastern Conference champions, so these interviews were conducted before the series began. So a good perspective from Roger Hunt and what he was expecting from his group, a young group that was sitting outside the playoffs early on in November before they acquired Connor Lockhart and Connor Punnett as well on the to bring in some veteran leadership back there, and they caught fire, winning 13 straight going into the playoffs. So we'll get to Roger Hunt's perspective from the Oshawa Generals side as they hoist the Bobby Orr Trophy once again. And we'll also hear from North Bay Battalion General Manager Adam Dennis regarding his team being in the conference final for a 3rd straight year. A heck of an accomplishment, and they've come out on the short end of it now for 3 straight years. But the program that Coach Oulahen and Adam Dennis have built there in North Bay, making it a destination and making it a pipeline for quality Ontario Hockey League players through the last couple of draft classes that they've had, has been something quite remarkable. So we'll ask Adam Dennis about his thought process of going for it once again when people thought maybe this year he'd be a seller. So we'll get his perspective from the North Bay side as well. As far as the post-game interviews go for Game 7, we'll hear from head coach Derek Laxdal from the winning Oshawa Generals side, as well as Connor Lockhart, the former Peterborough Pete and now back-to-back Eastern Conference champion with his new Oshawa Generals club, and we'll ask him about going to the other side of that rivalry with Peterborough and Oshawa and coming out victorious once again and facing North Bay in the Eastern Conference final for a 2nd straight year. And we'll also hear from head coach Ryan Oulahen from the North Bay Battalion and graduating captain Liam Arnsby, who's been a great soldier, if you will, for the battalion over his 200 games as a member up there in North Bay. So we'll hear from them and just basically not so much about the game itself, but just about how proud they are of the group and what they were able to accomplish the last 3 years with this core group of guys that they do have. And as well, kind of, just looking at being able to come back from a 3-0 series deficit, a minute 9 away from being swept by Oshawa. They win Game 4 in overtime. They win Game 5 in double overtime. And then they win Game 6, 8-1 at home before falling 6-1 in Game 7 to the eventual winning Oshawa Generals club. So we'll get both perspectives for you on today's Eastern Conference Championship Series episode, brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair. Hope you guys enjoy these interviews from that I was able to conduct covering this series, and we'll look forward to covering the OHL Championship Series as well between the London Knights and the Oshawa Generals. But we'll start off here with the general manager of the Oshawa Generals, and that would be Roger Hunt. Joined by the Vice President and General Manager of the Oshawa Generals, Roger Hunt. Roger, starting the Eastern Conference Finals tonight, I'm sure it's an exciting time for the group. You know, your fruits of your labor the last couple of years coming through. You guys made the playoffs last year as the 8th seed. You really came into this season, and you guys were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and you've made it through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Can you just speak to your, level of happiness with where the team is right now?
Well, very pleased. I mean, as an organization, we did make the playoffs last year. We went out in 5 to Ottawa, but it was very important that this group gets at least a taste what playoff intensity is like. You can talk about it in training camp. You can show video, everything, but until you actually experience it, it's foreign to you. So that was big. And then this year, to be honest with you, with our injuries and with a bit of a setback to start the year, we were in 9th place in, I think, November. So credit to the coaching staff, credit to certainly our players to bring it around, and we're back where we want to be. We want to be challenging for trophies and take a leaf out of North Bay's book. Maybe they've been here for a few years in a row, so we wanted to get back where we should be, and we're very pleased thus far.
2 years under Coach Laxdal came in and kind of changed the culture here and instilled quite the system in the last couple of years. How pleased are you with him? Obviously winning Coach of the Year this year. So what has he brought to your team from a coaching standpoint and really getting the team to where it is now?
Well, he's a very detailed guy. He's strong with his beliefs and his detail and his commitment to that. So it's been a 2-year process to get through to these guys, and the core of our team has been here for that whole time that Derek's been here. But his attention to detail, all of those things will certainly have contributed to where we've got to thus far. And he's won at every level he's really coached at. So we're counting on that experience to help us and guide us through, these rough waters ahead. And but certainly his time here has been really a real positive experience for our organization, for our players. I'm sure he will have left a lasting impact on those guys for wherever they go from here. But him and his staff, to be fair, have done a great job with our players.
And speaking of some individuals, Callum Ritchie missed a little bit at the start of the year and then obviously came on in the second half and really took his game to another level. Can you speak to what it was like when getting him back in the lineup and just adding a dynamic piece like that made him a first-round pick to the Avalanche?
Yeah, I mean, with Callum, we drafted him 2nd overall the year of kind of the COVID draft, if you will. We would have drafted him 1st overall if we picked first. So anytime you're short of a piece like that, and if we backtrack a little bit, he played the back half of, virtually all of last season injured. We knew he was going to have this procedure to get his shoulder right, and that's done that. And he's, with the emergence, the timing of his return and the timing of our ascent, if you will, up the standings is certainly coincide with each other. So with him coming back, and like you said, he would have been over a 100-point guy, and he will certainly be that. And he's a leader as well. It's not just his play and his skill and his ability. He's a leader amongst that group over there. So getting him back was huge, and there's no missing out on the fact he's represented Canada at under 17, under 18. He's been in top prospects team. He's a first-round NHL pick. So all of those things are for a reason.
And the rest of the guys, the Bennett Senecas, he's in his draft year. The Stuart Roloffs as the captain. Dylan Robrick has taken another big step this year. Can you speak to just the entire group and the development that they've been able to take this year? maybe last year, like you mentioned, getting a little taste of that playoff action, but really taking their game to another level this year. What have you seen in kind of the whole group, evolving here?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I watched a segment on Mike Tomlin with speaking to the Steelers, and he used a term called reasonable expectation. So we talked about that, and when we left last year and we started this year, hey, there is a reasonable expectation that we're expecting you to be better, and that's what that group has grown. And right from Jacob Oster, right through all those names that you've mentioned, they're meeting our expectations. The fact that they have gotten better, they've gotten stronger, they've gotten faster, they've gotten more resilient, they've gotten everything. So that's how you get to this level. And the 4 teams that are left, they're all the same. They've all done that. But certainly, if I can coin that phrase with Mike Tomlin, their reasonable expectation, that's what we want. We wanted guys to take a step, and that's what they've done.
And one big acquisition you made at the deadline was getting rugged defenseman Connor Punnett from the Barrie Colts. He played in the first round, which was interesting. But what has Connor brought to your team from a standpoint of that physicality and being a leader on that back end? What have you liked from him since you got him, and why you made it a point of emphasis to go and get him at the deadline?
Well, having seen him in this league since he was an underage, you always take notice. And I think with Connor, his presence was something that's felt by everybody that's on the ice. It's felt by our guys, so it gives a little bit of reassurance, but it's certainly felt by the opposing team. So trust me, they know when he's on the ice, because they would be smart to know that, because he's such a solid body checker. He's a clean hitter, and just that you're playing a little bit in fear, even though he may not catch you in his crosshairs, but his presence has been, really, really paramount. Him and Zach Sandu coming in, again, they provide us with 2 lefties, so the 2 of them together have really come in. But Connor has been a great addition with his age, with his poise, with everything else. But like I say, his presence is felt on that ice.
And lastly, for the player standpoint, Jacob Oster, you mentioned him quickly at the Open, winning goaltender of the year, really elevated his game to another level this year. What did you see from your goaltender that was able to really get you guys to where you are right now in the Eastern Conference Final, number 1 seed? He's been the guy back there all year, and how impressed have you been with him?
Incredibly impressed, as a person and as a goalie. I remember when he came in the league, I watched him in Guelph a little bit. No, I wouldn't say I watched him intently, but he took over the job from someone, and then maybe the second year there was a dip there, but he had the size, he had the athleticism, and he was someone that we targeted to try and get, and certainly he's proved us right in his play this year. And as you said, he's getting the accolades for that. Whether he's an NHL draft pick this year or signs an NHL deal, he'll be on his way to becoming a pro. But he's been been in the net the lion's share of the games, and certainly carried the wood for us for all year, and for that he's been rewarded, and for that his play our team's been rewarded. And let's face it, you're as good as your goaltending, and he's been real rock solid for us, so we want that to continue.
And lastly for you, before we let you go, this team, what makes you think that they are able to get to the OHL Championship and be a championship contender, go to the Memorial Cup? What gives you confidence in this group that this is the right group to go all the way this year?
Well, I think they've proved it. It doesn't matter what I think. I think they're proving it to themselves, and there's still a lot of racetrack to get to those heights, if you will, but we'll take it one game at a time. We've been supported incredibly here in Oshawa with our fans, a sellout crowd tonight, so they haven't seen a game for a couple weeks, so they'll probably be dying to get back into it and watching a game. But I think really this group has grown, and I remember in 2015 there was an incredible feeling of no fear, and I don't know if these guys are in that same boat. I don't know if they care who we play. They care how they play, and we have enough skill, talent, toughness, goaltending. We've got enough to go deep, as you mentioned too. But hey, let's not discount what North Bay's done too. So they're no different than us. They're feeling good about themselves. It's 0-0, and I'm fairly confident we can get off to a 1-0 series lead, and then that cuts your odds or cut the other team's odds of beating you down, and that's how important this first game is.
Vice President and General Manager of the Oshawa Generals, Roger Hunt. Roger, thanks so much for taking the time to give us the analysis, and we look forward to this series and beyond. Congratulations on getting to this point, and we'll see if the Bobby Orr Trophy can stay home here in Oshawa.
Yeah, bring it home. Bring it home.
Yes, bring Bobby home, and they sure did in Oshawa, winning in Game 7. Thank you to Roger Hunt for the in-depth analysis and honest assessment of his team that started the year, looked like they were out of a playoff spot, and he made the right moves. And Coach Derek Laxdal, he's brought in with so much experience, winning WHL championships with the Edmonton Oil Kings, and just has had such a great coaching career, moved on to the NHL as well. So he's pretty pleased with what Derek Laxdal and the culture that he's helped build back up there in Oshawa over the last few years, and a team that has such a storied history as well, going to another OHL championship. So with that said, we're going to get to our second interview today, our second general manager, and that would be Adam Dennis of the North Bay Battalion, and giving his perspective on making the moves that he did at this year's trade deadline to really give this group one more opportunity at trying to win an Eastern Conference Championship and an OHL Championship, and kind of the blueprint of what they're building there in North Bay, and will most likely be with a new crop of players coming up. This new kind of group that they have is going to be kind of phasing out, so there's going to have to be a new leadership group there in North Bay, and he's looking forward to the next crop of battalion players. So here is North Bay General Manager Adam Dennis. Joined by the General Manager of the North Bay Battalion, Adam Dennis. Adam, third straight year in the Eastern Conference Final. It's been quite the run that you guys have built with this organization here. It's pretty unprecedented to see a team make the conference final 3 years in a row. I know you guys want to win this one this time around, but with what you and head coach Ryan Oulahen and the rest of the coaching staff has built here in North Bay to make it a destination, just how proud are you of the last 3 years here?
Oh, you're incredibly proud, and you know, I'll include the older players on this team. They're guys that came in, and you know, guys like Liam Arnsby and Paul Christopoulos especially, they were here when the team bottomed out, and that group after the pandemic from the 04 draft, it really most proud of seeing them kind of turn into men right now, and you know, not just for what they're doing on the ice, for all the things that they've done off it. And I can tell you that this group all year has been pretty motivated, and they felt like they've had some unfinished business, but you know, I think that whatever's to come, that this group will be remembered in North Bay for quite some time.
And you talk about the development, like the guys that were leading the team this year, the Van Steensels, the Wakeleys, the Romanis, those guys were in your middle six or bottom six the last few years, and have kind of graduated up the lineup here. And just how important is that for the development of the team and continued success of having those guys that start in the bottom six and work their way up as the years graduate on, and as the players move on to the next levels, to have those guys to be able to take over and step into those bigger roles?
Yeah, and you know what, they had some great examples in their first year. They had, you know, guys like Mitch Russell that were always staying out late and showing them what to do as young guys. So it's a guy that I reference to them now that they're the older guys in the group, is you know, don't forget that culture and what it was like to have older players that kind of made you feel comfortable, and to see them kind of pass it over, and they paid their dues. They played in, you know, I guess more unheralded, lesser roles, so to speak, but they were great teammates. They never complained. They always knew that their time was going to come. They trusted the process, and I think that's what makes it easier for us in our position now, is that, you know, we have lots of examples to point to, and before we typically have to, you know, reinforce one of our points, one of our older guys, Liam, Dallin, Ty, Dom, you know, they're going to say it, and they're going to get the point across. And you know, we feel like there's a good group coming in next year that's probably in the same wake, and that's exciting, and it feels good to know that you know, players are getting better here.
Ty Nelson, we know what he is on the ice, but we know how much he means to North Bay off the ice with his Ty Troops initiative and things like that. Could you have expected anything more from a guy that you drafted first overall during the pandemic, and obviously becoming a Seattle Kraken draft pick? Just how much does Ty Nelson mean on and off the ice to this battalion group?
Oh, I mean, you talk about setting an example, and like, Ty has so many reasons to be entitled, to have excuses, all those things, and I think it's unfortunate. It's a day and age where people kind of assume the worst, and Ty couldn't be anything but the opposite. He's the best. Everything he does is comes with so much joy, and he really enjoys giving his time to others. He enjoys making people happy. He enjoys being around the team, and it goes both ways. Everybody's happy to be around Ty, and it's just, that's without even speaking to what he's done on the ice. I thought that since the World Juniors, the trade deadline, he's been at another level for us, and this playoffs, even though we've had some players that have gotten injured, some big pieces, I thought that he's really stepped up in his leadership and at both ends of the ice. And it's funny, you get asked a lot what mold or who's Ty Nelson with the model. And now that he's 19 in 4 years, I don't know that there's a Ty Nelson model. So I can tell you, if there's the next one that's going to be molded in Ty's shell, then I could tell you that. But Ty Nelson's one of a kind, and wouldn't have him any other way. And yeah, he's infectious. And you ask anybody about who Ty Nelson is in North Bay, he's a celebrity, and it's not, the on ice is a small part of it.
You spoke about the trade deadline. You made some moves this year. You wanted to go for it again to give those guys another opportunity after just narrowly missing out last year and making sure that they had another opportunity to go for it here. You pick up the Jacob and Andrew LeBlanc from the Sarnia Sting, as well as Sandis Vomanis, and then you also picked up Bronson Wright in a big trade with the Niagara Ice Dogs for some draft picks and a very capable goaltender in Charlie Robertson. So what was the key for those moves, and why did you want to give Ryan Oulahen those tools to add to his toolbox?
Yeah, well, I think we batted below average in the first half of the season, and I think there's a number of reasons to that. We had a lot of guys going to NHL camps, a lot of guys that were battered, bruised from the last two playoffs for that matter. So we had World Juniors, all sorts of things that you could say is an excuse for why we might have been lower in the standings than we felt we could have been. And really at that point, you go through it, and I have a close relationship with those guys that we talked about earlier. So we're talking all the time, and ultimately it came down to their motivation and their level. What do they want to do? And they felt that they, as a group, could do it, and they did some things that showed me and backed it up. And the flip side, it was devastating to lose a young player like Carter Kostic, and Alex Jakovic is a wonderful young man and a good player as well, but we just felt that there was too many, like I said earlier, strong fundamental pieces here that knew what it takes at this time of year and have been here before, and we're certainly motivated to do it. So, we didn't have a ton of picks, but we were able to put something together. And, as far as the Sarnia trade, we kind of had a really good idea what we were getting. That 04 group is one that we've always thought is the strength of our team. So, the LeBlanc twins, they were right up there on our list in that year. And we always joke about the OHL Cup in the 04 year if it would have got played. We've got Nelson, Cook from JRC, and you've got Quinty with Dallin and McDowell, and then Elgin, you had Van Steensel, and then we had to add the SCTA team to the mix too. So we got the LeBlanc twins, and Sandis was a guy that we felt had more if he was motivated as well, and that's the hard part. He had a great World Juniors at Latvia, and his relationship with Liam Arnsby in training camp with the Panthers really solidified that one for us, and at least identifying the player. And I can't tell you that we could be happier with those three. As for Bronson, we see so much in Bronson, not just for this playoff run. I think that when you go to a team with a bit more depth, we're not asking him to do as much as he was doing prior, but certainly a role that we think he can excel in. Really what the biggest part of that trade was we had a high stock in Bronson. I think he's going to be a really big piece for us, and I think people are getting to see why we had to make a move in net. And Charlie Robertson, it's tough to play against him this year. I know it's going to be tough to play against him for the next few, but he deserved a chance to play more or less. I think the world of him, and certainly don't think that we got nearly enough for him. And but we got a defenseman that we coveted, and we knew that Mike needed some runway to play, and I think that's paying dividends at this point for us.
And you talk about the goaltending, your starting goaltender and Winnipeg Jets prospect, last year's goaltender of the year, Don DiVincentis, has missed time this year. So you've had to rely on Mike McIver to take that next step, You trade away Charlie Roberts, and he's kind of been the guy. He played 18 games in the regular season and has kind of been the guy in the playoffs here. So how pleased are you with Mike's development? As a goaltender yourself, obviously, you can see the intangibles of some of those goaltenders. What have you seen in Mike to really give him the confidence that when Dom went down, he was going to be the guy for you?
Yeah, Mike's been a guy that since we drafted him, we knew he kind of had that winner's mentality. That mental side of the game has always been his biggest strength, and he's an athlete. So I think the biggest thing for him was getting him time in the net, getting him an opportunity to go over video with him, show him different parts of his game that you could maybe tweak or add to or take away from. And I think the biggest thing as a goalie is you got to play, right? So you need to feel the net. You need to remember what it was like your last start, so you can build on it, you can add to it. And I think since Christmas he's been able to do that with some regularity, and that's the one thing I give Coach Oulahen a lot of credit on is he's got our young goalies in every year, and that starts way back with Dom, to be honest with you. And they don't go with a week and a half without starting, and you're able to, I think, develop as a young goalie like that. And started with Charlie, then Mike this year, and we've known he's been capable. I think it was just really him getting the rhythm, and you saw him kind of go through that in the Kingston series. I thought he was able to get some of the early jitters out, and I thought he stole parts of the Sudbury series, to be honest with you. So he's done his part, and now he's in it. He's in a rhythm, and it's been fun watching him.
As you look forward to, making it hopefully to the OHL Championship, you want to get there. You've been to this 3 years in a row, but as you look forward to next season as well, and making sure that you guys are developing for the next crop of the North Bay Battalion, what is your kind of outlook on, making sure that you guys are ready for this playoff run, but also the sustained success that you've kind of laid the foundation for here the last 3 or 4 years with North Bay, and making it a destination where players want to come to?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that we've developed a culture where the guys that aren't necessarily in the roles right now, or maybe even in the lineup, they understand the process at this point. So we've got players that are in our system, and they're working hard right now behind the scenes, and they're getting ready for that time because they're seeing the examples in front of them right now. And we felt we had a good draft this year. We feel we drafted 2 young players that can step in right away. And granted, it's going to be different not seeing some of the familiar faces that we've talked about next year. There's opportunity for some of those guys that have put the work in, and I think that when you have guys that are willing to put in that work, it's important that they're rewarded with those chances. So we feel like we've got a lot of good young defensemen that are already signed and with our program that you're going to see next year. And we'll see what they do with that, and that's the exciting part about this league. And up front, listen, I would hope that Dallin Wakely and Owen Van Steensel are going to get some love this year. But we feel like we're going to bring back a lot of very good overagers, including Anthony Romani. So I think that, there's guys, Larry Mamdovsky, Ignat Pazzi, Dylan Richter, Nolan Laird, there's others that I apologize for not mentioning, but they're going to come in next year and they're going to take a step because they put in the work, they put in the time, and they're going to do it all summer, and we're confident in that. So it's junior hockey, so the kids got to play, but we feel good about the people that we have in the system, and the coaches have a recipe, and I'm sure as soon as this season's over, they're going to add to it and get a little bit better themselves, and that's the nice part about having the staff that we've had and having the longevity that we've had together.
Adam Dennis, the General Manager of the North Bay Battalion. Adam, thanks so much for giving us the time. An exciting time for the group, obviously stressful too, but congratulations on getting to this point for a 3rd straight year and laying that foundation here in the Ontario Hockey League for North Bay as a destination and a successful franchise. So continued success and congratulations getting to this point.
Thanks, Brandon. It's always a pleasure.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicles in top running condition through their services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers came to expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get the trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your cars. To find out more or to book service, contact them today. 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
J&L Flooring is Niagara's specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. With a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety of truly unique products, J&L Flooring is your specialty flooring and decor boutique shop. All of their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they simplify the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring.
Niagara Golf Lounge features 2 state-of-the-art indoor golf simulators, allowing you to play some of the world's best courses all year round. The perfect place to indulge all season long. Don't worry about getting thirsty while you play around with your friends. Their fully stocked bar offers a wide selection of drinks, appetizers, and a variety of meals are also available to enjoy before, during, or after you play. Grab a seat next to the fire in their comfortable sports lounge. Didn't bring your clubs? No problem. They have partnered with TaylorMade to offer you the best rental clubs. You won't want to miss their exclusive NFL and NHL giveaways for the Buffalo Sabres and Buffalo Bills. Located in the Best Western Plus Karen Croft Hotel, 6400 Lundy's Lane in Niagara Falls. Visit NiagaraGolfVacations.com to learn more and to reserve your golf bay today. The Niagara Golf Lounge, Niagara's home for golf and sport all year round.
In the Niagara region, Global Pet Foods is your destination for premium pet nutrition and caring expertise. Whether you've welcomed a new furry family member or need advice on top quality nutrition, their dedicated staff is ready to help. Discover why Global Pet Foods' lesser-known premium brands outshine the big corporate names. Their team's passion ensures your pet's health and vitality. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where premium brands and caring staff make the difference. Are you looking to hire? Let the Niagara Employment Help Center save you valuable time and money by making your hiring process easier. Their services include free job postings in-house and on their website, fill job vacancies quickly and efficiently, access to a bank of potential employees, reduce employment costs, and financial incentives may be available to offset the cost of new hire training. Check out the website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's OHL Eastern Conference Championship Series recap right here on OHL Overtime on the Armchair GM Sports Network. I'm your host, Brandon Caputo. Make sure to give us a follow at Armchair GM Pod. Make sure to give us a like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell if you're enjoying the video versions of the podcast. And thank you to those today listening to this episode today on your favorite on-demand audio platform. As well, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff for you guys as well. So with that said, we heard from the general managers from both sides on today's episode that were in the Eastern Conference Finals. So we're going to get the full post-game from both teams following the series, following Game 7 of a hard-fought OHL Championship Series with the North Bay Battalion falling 6-1 to the Oshawa Generals there in Game 7 and fighting back from 3-0 series deficit. So we're going to hear first from the North Bay side, and that would be head coach Ryan Oulahen and their graduating captain Liam Arnsby on their team's performance and just general thoughts on how proud they are of this group for being able to come together for a third straight year making the Eastern Conference Finals.
Back with more post-game coverage of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Championship Series. Tonight's final score 6-1 for the Oshawa Generals, joined by North Bay Battalion head coach Ryan Oulahen, along with Captain Liam Arnsby. Coach, this group, particularly the core with Liam and guys like Dallin Wakely and some of the other veterans, they've come so far. Maybe you can just share your thoughts, firstly on the game tonight, but just in general on how you guys are feeling right now.
You know what, I think I'd spend more time just more in general. The game is what it is, but I want to just say how special this hockey team is. I would assume or take a guess, because I was one of them that went home that night feeling a little bit, okay, how is this playoff run going to go? And that was Game 2 of our first round against Kingston. When all of a sudden you're stuck with arguably one of the best goaltenders in Canada goes out, and a 58 goal scorer goes out. We knew it was for a significant time at that time, and our guys rallied around everything. And that's why I want to talk about this. The entire playoff run with this team is I'm just so impressed with our guys. It's been a lot of years kind of building this. I mean, everything changed when this guy got drafted. Liam Arnsby came in, and we knew he was going to be our captain, the one to turn the culture around, the one to make it a destination for people to want to come and play for the North Bay Battalion. And that's ultimately what we've done here in the last few years. So that's kind of more what I want to talk about and lay it out there. I'm just so proud of our team, of our players. We came up a little bit short once again, but it's going to go down on record. We're going to be talking about this team for decades.
Liam, you've bled green. A lot of great memories wearing the battalion colors. Maybe you share your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, I've been here 5 years, my whole career. It's been nothing but a pleasure, quite a few good teams over the year. This one stung, but it's definitely something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Liam, you played 215 games with this organization, and the fight back that you guys had in the series, down 3-0, and the fact that you were able to push it to Game 7, 2 overtime wins. Just speak to what you saw as the captain in that room, and what you saw from other guys that are going to take over as the next leadership group of the North Bay Battalion, leaving them in a good place for years to come here with Coach Oulahen.
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows what we built. The young guys stepped up, everyone stepped up, and getting those games OT and come back 3-0, it just shows what kind of group we got, and we're in good hands in the future.
Coach, can you just talk about what the last 3 years have been? Obviously, this one is still, past tense is hard to do at this point, but when you talk about the culture that you and Adam Dennis have built here from the ground up with North Bay, making it a destination, making the Eastern Conference Finals 3 years in a row, that's almost unprecedented to do. So can you talk about just how proud you are of, I guess, the whole organization and the whole North Bay community really rallying around your team the last 3 years and showing the support there?
And it really is everything that you mentioned and more, because everybody sees the success on the ice that we have. That's easy. You can look at the standings. You can see that we've won 3 division titles in the last 3 years. You can see we've done well in the playoffs. But what people don't see is the work behind the scenes, from everybody in our organization. I'm blessed to come to the rink every single day with unbelievable coaches to help me. I think a world-class management team. We have mental performance. We have strength and conditioning. We have an unbelievable program that we've really built here with North Bay. And at the end of the day, you need players like this beside me to buy into that, buy into the culture. We expect a lot of them day in and day out, but you just see the evolution year after year of the development of our players. And I can't take all the credit for that. It's everything that we've done. It's everybody working towards the same goal. We come to the rink, we have a ton of fun, but we work extremely hard. So that's why we're just so proud of this group, and they're going to pave the way for years to come for more kids to want to come and be battalion players.
Do you have any last words for the other overage players that are obviously going to be moving on to the next portion of their hockey careers and their lives?
Oh, I kind of have, the theory. I've coached a long time in this league now, and you're always, when they're homegrown, they're unbelievable, right? And we're so blessed to have 3 guys that are, I call them homegrown, like drafted, developed, they just were pulling the rope every single day and helping every single day with these guys, just even to the last moment. We're having lunch upstairs. One of our young guys is, he's kind of the last one to get his food, so he's eating by himself. Well, walks over one of our overagers to go sit with them and have lunch. Like, you don't have to tell them to do that. It's just unbelievable, the people that have been there, and it's our 3 overagers that have left the way, and I don't want them to leave. Like, it's going to be really tough, but you're not leaving. It's just we'll see you when you see you, because that's how special these guys are to us.
Coach, you touched on it there, the impact of your overagers and that 2019 class, but, could you also touch on, the impact that the 2020 draft class had with, guys like Ty, Tanias, and, guys like Dallin and Owen taking a big step this year and, helping your team out and be successful?
Another epic draft class, right, to add into, because what these guys set was the identity, the culture. We knew the type of people, the type of players that, ultimately the type of team that was going to take. And then Adam Dennis and John Winstanley and all their scouts do an unbelievable job, and they've continued to do so. So, yeah, every one of those players, it's pretty impressive how they continue to grow, and it's easy for us to talk to our 16 and 17-year-olds of the wave of this is what you're going to look like when you're 19 and 20.
There was North Bay Battalion head coach Ryan Oulahen and graduating captain Liam Arnsby. Coach is proud. He's very proud of what they were able to do and didn't want to give himself a lot of credit. He wanted to give credit to the players, the other trainers, the staff, and Adam Dennis and the scouting staff as well, for just continuing to bring in guys that fit their culture there in North Bay and what they're trying to accomplish. He talked about the other overagers as well and what they bring off the ice in being able to just go in and sit with guys that are sitting alone at the lunch table and things like that. He doesn't have to say those sort of things. That's just the kind of strong character that they have up there in North Bay, where the head coach doesn't even have to go and say or encourage players to go and reach out to their other teammates as well and try to make them feel wanted within that dressing room. So very honorable of Coach Oulahen the last 3 years, what he's been able to do here with the North Bay Battalion. And again, it's going to be a transitional period for them, but I don't think it'll be long before North Bay and their new crop of players builds back up into what Adam Dennis has kind of built around them the last couple years, making the trades that he did. And with head coach Ryan Oulahen, a heck of an accomplishment. Congratulations to them for making this point for a 3rd straight year. Congratulations to Liam Arnsby on his fantastic OHL career, and we'll see if he does transition to the pro game. Was a 7th round pick of the Florida Panthers, so we'll see what his next step will be. But kudos to the North Bay Battalion for fighting all the way to the end, and what looked like it could have been a sweep, but the veteran leadership of their group really shined in games 4, 5, and 6. So with that said, we're going to take you to our final set of interviews today, and that will be with Oshawa Generals head coach Derek Laxdal, as well as forward Connor Lockhart, winning back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals for him personally, and for Derek Laxdal getting to another championship. He's been to 3 in the WHL, and he's going to go to 1 in only his 2nd season coaching this Oshawa Generals group that lost in 5 games in the first round last year, and now they're going to the Eastern Conference Championship Series. So here's the winning side after Game 7 of the OHL Eastern Conference Championship Series from the Oshawa Generals.
Welcome to post-game coverage of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Championship Series. The Oshawa Generals, 6-1 winners, capturing the Bobby Orr Trophy for the first time since 2015. Joined by head coach Derek Laxdal, along with overage veteran Connor Lockhart. Coach, such a long way to climb after Game 6, but your team did it. Maybe just explain how.
You know what? The kids were incredible tonight. Starting with Jacob Oster, he set the tone right off the hop in that first shift. They had a couple chances, and he just set the tone for his game, and we got that first goal. And I thought our guys did an incredible job of checking and just shutting down North Bay tonight. And you got to give the kids a lot of credit. They believed that they could win Game 7 at home today, and it started last night getting back to the rink here and just chatting with kids and just, kind of setting the tone for the day. And it was a tough game last night, getting beat 8-1. But for them to respond that way today, I'm very proud of them as a coach. I just told the kids of all my years coaching, that was one of the best efforts I've seen in a Game 7 to shut down the other team. And and limited. Like, we've got a ton of injuries in that series there, and at the end of the day, it's guys stepped up. Our young kids, our 16-year-olds, played a great game today. So hats off to the kids. They deserve all the credit.
Connor, going Game 7 and back-to-back years of Game 7 wins in the East Final against North Bay. What was special about this one?
Yeah, you know what? I think last year that was kind of a vision for us at the start of the year. So that was kind of something that we expected right away in Peterborough. But I think this year it's a little bit more special just because we've gone through so much as a group. When I was initially traded here, we weren't even in a playoff spot at one point. Just seeing how much we matured as a group. Coming all the way, especially in that second half of the year there, finishing on that win streak gave us the privilege of home ice, and I think we've just matured so much as a team, and you can really see how tight our team's gotten over the last few months, and everybody's buying in. That's the most important thing, and I think that's especially in Game 7s, the structure aspect is so important. Every shift matters, and I think that's really kind of that was the difference tonight.
Home ice certainly paid off in Game 7. Jack, get us started.
Coach, you talked about in this series the importance of good starts. You held off 3 great chances from North Bay in the first 45 seconds, and your team really settled in. What was going through your mind in the opening act?
Well, we talked about it as a group here, just get through the first 5 minutes and settle into the game, and I thought we did a good job of settling in the game. And as the game got along, that first goal was huge for us, just to kind of give us a little breathing room, just to kind of play the way we wanted to play, and the penalty kill came up big on the penalty kill for us, and then we didn't get a power play tonight. So, but just the structure that we have in place really showed up tonight in the kids' game, and I thought they did a great job of just shutting down in the third period, just staying above pucks and checking with their feet, checking with their stick, and then we got a couple big goals early in the third period. They were pushing, they were pressing, and then when they got the 4-1 goal, I thought our guys did a good job of just calming down, and then obviously the 5th goal was huge for us, but. Give our kids a lot of credit. They've come a long way from the start of the season to now to get to this point to win the Eastern Conference. Hats off to the guys. Hats off to my coaching staff, and obviously to the team. And I know they're very excited now. The next task is going into London on Thursday night. And it's a short turnaround, so it's going to be pretty exciting.
Connor, as an older guy on the team, being through this a season ago, like you talked about, what was your message to the team, especially with the injuries that you guys had, Buckley, Seneca, and the lineup?
Yeah, I think the message kind of started at the start of the playoffs. Something I made sure the guys knew at the start of the playoffs was, doesn't matter when it's going to be. It could be your first shift of the playoffs, could be your last game. There's going to be a time where everybody needs to step up. We saw that throughout our entire lineup. Look at Frenzen. He's playing up in the top 6 tonight in a do-or-die Game 7, and he did a fantastic job. All the boys really stepped up tonight, and that's the most important thing. I think we're fortunate to have a lot of depth through our lineup, and everybody had their moment tonight, whether it was a block shot, getting a puck deep, staying disciplined, staying out of the box. Everybody did a fantastic job, and I think that really motivated us. Everybody was playing for each other, and that's the whole thing about playoffs is you can't play for the wins. You got to play to keep your season alive with your family, right? Because this is our family. This is all we have here every day at the rink. So that was kind of the mentality, was playing for a family rather than, to win a series.
First, Connor, you talk about family. How difficult was it coming over to the other side? Obviously, Peterborough and Oshawa is a big rivalry, and maybe you had to, shake some hands when you first got in. But how have you kind of embraced the role of the leader on this group of a team that you've battled against the last couple of years on the other side of it?
Yeah, you know what? You don't see too many trades with Peterborough and Oshawa too often, and then this year there was a couple right after each other, which was pretty crazy. But you know what? I think this has been an outstanding spot for me. I've learned so much as a person and a player, and obviously it was a little weird at first. I've given a lot of our teammates some slashes in the previous years, some pretty crazy cross checks as well. But I think that's the best part about hockey is once your teammates, your brothers, and none of that really matters. And our team is so tight. We've had such a great year in terms of battling through adversity that a lot of people have no idea about. And I think that just speaks to the character of our group, and we've really come a long way. So none of that really matters from last year, but obviously it's something we always chuckle about. The guys will tell me to cut the cord sometimes, but it's all fun and jokes, and obviously looking to do the same thing this year. So I'll be saying the exact same things about this group as I did last year.
One for Coach. I did some digging on your past, and 2 times you won an OHL or a WHL championship with Edmonton. It was in Game 7. So you talked about last game of having to pick those guys up off the floor. after 3 chances of having a chance to end it. From your experience, what was it? What was the message to the group, and knowing what it takes to win in Game 7s, and knowing how difficult this scenario is and how big this moment is for them to go out there and do what they did tonight?
Well, the kids were distraught last night. If you look at Game 4, we were a minute and 8 seconds away from sweeping North Bay, and then we hit a crossbar in overtime, and then they win the game, so now you get the 3-1. And then you look at, Game 5 here, we get the lead twice. They try an icing play to get a bounce. We break a stick, they get a bounce. And then we had great looks in overtime to win the game, and then we go up there, and we saw the result yesterday. And we just talked about enjoying the moment of the Game 7. Like it's one of the greatest games to be able to play in as a player and also to coach. And we just talked about embrace the opportunity. This game, these kids will remember for the rest of their life. Being close as a family, being close as a team, and just putting that effort forward. You can't replicate the effort that the kids put together tonight. And that's what we're going to try and do for Game 1 going into the finals. But I thought the kids did a great job with the message too. They bought in, they listened, they believed, and I think that was the key tonight. And obviously give our fans a huge shout out. They were excellent tonight, and they did a great job.
Coach, a few games ago, you wouldn't want to say you called out, but you kind of put the pressure a little bit on your veteran forwards who weren't producing and had played well in the first few games and scored, but kind of ran into a bit of a wall there in Games 4, 5, and 6. And you asked them to come through for you. And tonight, Oulahen, Lockhart, Rolos, Ritchie, and Rubrick especially, all of them produced for you. They really came through. What does that say to you about how they came through in the clutch?
Well, we talked about this series all along. These experiences for these kids is how they mature and grow as a player. And they're not always going to play their best game, so you have to, call it going after them or call them out, whatever you want. And it's all about some of my messaging to these kids is how you go into these series, how you go into these experiences is going to help galvanize or form who you're going to become as a young man or a player. And so these kids are going to look back on these experiences and be able to reflect, like, how did I prepare for this game? So give them a lot of credit. All the guys stepped up. Big Ray was outstanding tonight. Lockie was outstanding tonight. All the kids really embraced the moment, and they played their hearts out.
Yeah, and Connor, for you as a player, you've been in these big games and championship games. Did you feel you had to bring it tonight more than in any other game, or was it just another game and you had to play your best and see what happened?
Yeah, you know what, obviously, I know when our team's going, I can be relied on to help the team win games and produce, and I think just going through it last year kind of helped me stay a little bit more even keel than normal through this process, and I think our team really had the right mindset going into today. You could really see that the calm and the confidence in the calmness and the confidence in our group, especially, even just warming up before the game, and a lot of guys were saying the right things, and the one thing that I was always telling myself is, this isn't the way I want my junior career to end, is to lose 4 straight. So I think that was a little motivation for myself. And going through it last year, it's all you could ever ask for is to compete for a championship. And that's the best way to go out in junior hockey. And I'm obviously blessed to have the opportunity to do that twice in a row. But, the hard work is not over whatsoever. Battled against London last year. They're a hell of a hockey club, and it's only going to get harder the further we go. So I think we're ready for the task, but obviously this is something to be extremely proud of for our group.
And one last follow-up. I wanted to ask you tonight about the play of the younger players. You mentioned it briefly in the opening, but your young forwards, a lot of responsibility is placed on them tonight. And your 16-year-olds, your 17-year-olds, especially Tyler Graham and Fransons and Griffin and Delisle, they all had to really come up big for you. You must have been pretty proud of them.
Very proud of those kids, outstanding. We sprinkle them through the lineup there to kind of protect them a little bit, and I thought they did an incredible job. They were outstanding tonight, and what a way to start your junior career at 16, 17 and get into a league final. So kudos to those kids. They're outstanding.
There you have it. There were the Oshawa Generals, Derek Laxdal and Connor Lockhart, advancing to the OHL Championship Series against the London Knights. It's going to start later this week. For our OHL Eastern Conference Championship Series recap episode, thank you to Roger Hunt from the Oshawa Generals, North Bay Battalion General Manager Adam Dennis, as well as Ryan Oulahen, Liam Arnsby, Derek Laxdal and Connor Lockhart for all the great interviews on today's show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to those and both perspectives. I like to bring both perspectives from these championship series recaps and look forward to bringing you more of that, obviously, with the championship series between London and Oshawa. So thank you to everybody for tuning in today for another episode of OHL Overtime right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, proudly brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012. Make sure to give us a follow at Armchair GM Pod as well, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you know the deal by now. And to those listening in on-demand audio, thank you very much. And to those who took the time to watch the video version of the podcast on YouTube, thank you very much for doing that. So we'll talk to you again after the OHL Championship Series. Brandon Caputo signing off here on OHL Overtime right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. We'll talk to you again very soon. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.